to a Johnny Moses Lessons in Confidence. I don't even know if you can hear me. I'm trying something, right? I'm trying to live stream with the mic. So if you can hear me, there's no one in the chat yet, so we're gonna sit here and do fuck all until there is someone in the chat. And then we'll see what we can do. Right, so there's a buzz that's coming, telling me that I'm live. I know I'm live. Hello, you. Can you hear me? That's the key. Toast is very lovely. Toast is delicious. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Does it sound better than like in other live streams? Sweet. Okay, cool. Right. The annoying thing is on my new phone, it's on the bottom, it's down here. So I can't just prop it up. I've got to figure out a way of doing this. I have an idea, right? Which is sort of like that. Don't you dare tell me that I have to have it oriented in a certain way. Right? So yeah, basically what we're doing, I don't actually chew gum ever. I've never chewed gum. Fuck it, we'll just put it on the side, doesn't matter. Actually, there's a better way of doing this. I've solved it, I think. Give me 1 sec. So now I'm using the normal audio. So you probably see it weird. And then like that. Oh yeah, this is working. This. Aha! Did it. Right, there we are. We are now live. Okay, so they ban you. Why? What the fuck? Do they? I wouldn't put it past them, but what the fuck? Because like, say if I went on this live stream, right, and I was like this the whole time, right? I'll just turn my phone the other way around. Do you know what pisses me off, right? The fact that everyone does videos now in vertical, right? It used to be like, say in 2015, it used to be a fun thing for people to have a moan about, right? But I think people have forgotten how to have a moan about it because no one talks about it anymore, and we just accept that vertical video is fine, right? This is all right. It has its uses, right? You only need to see my corpse talking to you, right? You don't need to see that painting. Doesn't need to be there, right? So we can cut that out, right? But I don't know, just ever since vertical has sort of taken off, right? It cuts things out. I don't like vertical. I like squares. I think that a square is the ultimate form of thing, especially because you could have a lens, right? Think about this. The sensor in a lens is essentially a circle. Why do you want me to say the name of that country? Mersh and Merg. It's suspicious. The other painting is something about fucking brains, basically. It's something about brains. Yeah. My biggest pet peeve is automatically turn square videos into shorts. I mean, like, yeah, that's true. I don't know. Shorts should be destroyed. I set up a channel which is like these videos but in short form. Literally, I put zero effort in. I didn't put any effort into making sure each video actually made any sense. I purposefully made it as shit as possible, right? It's called Mozerville Shorts. If you look it up, it is purposefully designed to be as shit as possible. I put no effort in. What I did is I went in Premiere and I just randomly sliced. I took every video from October, right, that I made. So it was like 9 hours worth of videos, and I just sliced them into 30-second chunks. No effort whatsoever, right? And then I did, there's a way of doing render, but basically it renders each individual file in your timeline into one, it's not an MP4, it's actually a ProRes video format. So basically I got 800 gigs worth of ProRes short versions of the videos, and I uploaded all 800 gigs to YouTube Shorts, right? So I just spammed them, basically. Like 3, 4, 5 videos a day, there's 3, 4, 5 videos a day scheduled out every day until the end of August. And then that's only October, by the way. There's also a fair bit like scattered after that. And then I've also done the same for November, and I've got them somewhere on a backup, but I've never uploaded them yet. And I think they would last me till probably January. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to get to about August, and I'll see if the channel's sort of doing well and if it's worth keeping it going. But that should give you an idea on how much legitimacy I give towards YouTube Shorts and short form content. It's fucking garbage. I woke up today and I watched fucking 20 minutes of YouTube Shorts, right? Because it gets you in a vulnerable state when your brain's all fucked, right? You're all tired and stuff, and you're trying to get yourself ready for the day, and the day's stressing you out. And so you go, oh, I don't really want to do this, right? So you put some shorts on because you see them. There's one that seems vaguely interesting, and you know it's only like 20 seconds long, so it's not much investment. So you chuck it on, right? It's disgusting what they're doing, right? Oh yeah, I need to check the thing. So I realize it's doing the top messages bullshit again. Stop doing that. There we are. Okay, and I'm just gonna have a quick. Isles, what's up? Not much. I'm basically doing this stream. We're not going to be on for long, by the way. I don't want to do many of them like 2-hour-long streams. They don't take a lot out of me. They just waste the day. What an anal. Oh, I got rid of you last time, for fuck's sake. Go away. Report. Promotes terrorism. Oh yeah. Got rid of him. Right. Nbeard says, deleted YouTube from my phone and got a plugin to remove the home and shorts feed from my browser. Oh, can you do that? You can delete YouTube from your phone? It won't let me. Is that an iPhone thing? My YouTube history is already off. Well, what it is, it's off, but then I turned it on, put one video in it, and then paused it, right? Because if you delete it, it just, you know, when you start a new account, it just gives you like Logan Paul and Mr. Beast and shit. So I got rid of all of that by just having one video, because then it seems to sort of understand you, right? So I can't remember what I put in it. I'm listening to the Pineapple Thief at the moment, right? So I think let's say I chucked some Pineapple Thief in it. Okay, fuck off. Right. I don't know why we need all these like mentalists. I know that they get a kick out of me reacting to them, so I'm going to try and not react to them anymore. But I'm just going to report them. This is why they have mods in these things, isn't it? I mean, I genuinely don't understand, though, why there are people that support, like, really terrible people. Like, they're so obviously terrible, right? As I said, this is an idea for ideas for videos. This is another idea for videos, right? Is, like, take Trump, for instance, right? We're not going to do a big thing on Trump. I'm not going to do a video about Trump because I can't be asked, right? But, like, Trump came around 2015, 2016, right, as I was getting into politics. And why are they all from, like, the same kind of thing? It's just irritating. So, yeah, got into politics around the time that Trump started getting in, right? And I never really thought much about him. I never, like, you know, there's a load of people that go, oh, I fucking hate him. And then there's like the whole Trump derangement syndrome. And I just sort of stayed out of it. It's not my country. I don't give a shit, right? I've got England, and we had our own Donald Trump and the former Boris Johnson. So, you know, kind of did it, been there, done that, you know. Oh, hey up, Noah. I remember you. That was a good one, yeah. I hope you're doing well now. I hope things are going good for you and everything. It was a nice time. I love meeting people at that place. It's fantastic. What was this? Oh yeah, right. It's the yeah, I was getting into politics and Donald Trump. I never really thought much about it. And you know, there was that sort of rhetoric. Well, you're another one. I know you are. So you're getting reported. I'm just doing promotes terrorism for all of them. So there we are. That's him gone. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, it was about politics and Trump and stuff. So I never really bothered with like looking into him, because you hear a lot about like how he's a modern day fascist and all this sort of stuff, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever, you're being a bit over the top, right? And then my mate Lee, he made a documentary about Donald Trump and like the rise to power sort of thing, and it was just kind of compiling various news clips and bits from other videos that Trump's been in and films he's been in and stuff, to tell kind of the story from. And when I asked him, are you putting any kind of spin on this, right? He went, it's kind of a semi-pro-Trump sort of thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I watched it, and I never thought that, you know, Trump was a major fascist or anything. I never really gave it much thought. But watching that documentary, which was meant to be a pro-Trump documentary, your video about advertising got me laid with this hot cough chick. God bless you. Oh, so I was watching this documentary. It was meant to be pro-Trump, right? And I was looking at the way he talks, and I was like, oh, this is really bad. This is like full-on Mussolini, right? This is full-on like proper fucked, right? Hang on, just got to report another one, right? And it was like weird because it was so obvious, right? And the reason I hadn't seen it is because I'd never bothered watching any Trump speeches. I'd, you know, occasionally watch like the funny moments, you know. If you're around a mate's house, you know, they might put on some like funny videos, and there might be a funny video of like Trump saying some dumb shit, right? But like actually watching his speeches and seeing his rhetoric and the way that he talks about stuff, that's what I mean. That was so absurdly, obviously fascistic in nature that it was actually really concerning, right? It was so weird. Right. And I looked at it and I was like, there are so many people out there that love Trump, that think he's like the best president ever, that think he's amazing, right? All this, that, and the other. And I'm like, how are there people out there that are like that? Because those people would, I at least hope to think, would consider themselves to be good people, and they want good for the world. They want the world to be a better place in general. It's just we disagree on how to get there or what that ideal of the future looks like. But overall, people all want that. They want a good future for everybody. I remember I had a chat with someone once, and I said to them, you know, I always thought that the whole point of being alive and the state of the world was that oh yeah, no, I don't support him. No. It was because I just didn't really think about him for the longest time. It just never. I wasn't apolitical. I just wasn't American political. American politics is all ugh, can't be bothered with it, right? English politics is all ugh, but I have to be bothered with it because I mean I'm English, aren't I? So you know, I was having a chat with someone and I sort of said, isn't the whole point of being alive and the whole reason that we're here to try and make life as good as possible for as many people as possible in a way that gives people some kind of meaning to their own existence? Because obviously just pure pleasure, if we all lived in, you know, what's the whole thing of like you get in the tank and you get transported to paradise and you don't know that you've been put in this tank, right? It's not actually that good. But say that we were in the real world, right? Everything got fixed naturally, and we lived in a world where basically there's no wars, there's no nasty shit, there's no, you know, misery. Everyone's like happy, singing "Kumbaya," like, you know, coming together, right? All of this sort of stuff. Yeah, like hearts in the world, all that kind of thing, right? That would be a good world, right? And I thought everyone could agree with that, but it's just, you know, there's the real world that kind of gets in the way, right? But everyone would like that at the end of the day. There's people that don't want the world to be a better place. They actively don't want the world to be a better place. And that scares me. How are there people out there that, I think, is it esotericism? No, sorry, it's a totally different concept, but that's part of the big picture, Metal Fingers says. For normal people with sympathy and empathy, Trump and his supporters don't give a shit about anyone but themselves. See, the way I see it, because I know quite a few right-wing people and stuff like that, right? Is that there's different levels of it, right? There's people on the internet, like I've just been on Facebook, right? I did a video going down Facebook, and I'm going to release that probably in a couple months. And it's all like the people on Facebook, the right-wing Trump supporting people on there are like full-on psychopaths that like actively want harm for everyone and seem to they love landlords. They literally love landlords. And basically anyone who has a complaint about anything is doing it because they're jealous. They're doing it because they, you know, they want to take things away, and it's all the politics of envy and that kind of thing, right? But then you get to people in the real world, right? That, you know, maybe they still support Trump or whatever, but they're not that level of insane. They're not the stereotype of a Trump supporter. And it's really weird because I try not to, what's the word? Judge people immediately based on their politics, because some people can really surprise you. Like, I always find it quite interesting when people I talk to, say right-wing people, for instance, come out with like the most socialist shit ever, but they haven't programmed it in their heads to be like socialism, right? Whereas I am more, I'd consider myself a social democrat, right? Which is essentially a meaningless buzzword that basically means I basically want things to be like Norway, right? That's basically my level of politics. You can tell I'm such a deep thinker about this. Yeah, just do what Norway does, and we'll be fine. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm more open to that kind of socialism, right? But people, they did a study, right? It was during the 2019 UK election, and they took a load of Labour policies, right? And they took those Labour policies and they just talked about the policy. Do you approve of this policy or not? And they said, yes, we do support this policy in a great majority. And then they would say, this is a Labour policy. Here is the policy. Suddenly, the approval rating would go so far down because of who is doing it and because of how you marketed and branded the policy, right? I'm sure there's like a couple Trump policies that he's got that are genuinely quite good, but the overall branding around him is awful, in my opinion. And I think that it's incredibly dangerous rhetoric that he's giving off. But I'm sure there's a couple good things in there, the same way that Bernie Sanders has a couple shit ideas, or Jeremy Corbyn has a couple shit ideas, you know? I don't think Jeremy Corbyn understands what Russia and Ukraine is. I think he's a fucking idiot when it comes to that. But on domestic policy, he's a fucking genius. So, you know, not everyone is like all good and all bad, right? I'm gonna have a quick look at the comments because I did a bit of a. Friend says, you're a progressive afraid to fully abandon the profit motive. I'd say so, yeah. I'm not anti-capitalist inherently. I like the idea of business, and I'm quite entrepreneurial myself. And I think that there should be a system in place for permitting that. I don't think the government should have overall authority in that regard. Like, for instance, I did my driving theory test yesterday, right? I failed it. But it was so weird that the government is making things out to be as shit and miserable as possible. We went into this waiting lobby, right? And it looks like a fucking film noir set, right? It's really weird. The lighting is so dingy. Everything is made to like have as zero character to it as possible, right? The chairs are so uncomfortable, but they're not cheap chairs. They're expensive looking chairs. They're just extremely uncomfortable, right? Everything's made of concrete and steel, right? And the lights are like these really harsh fluorescent lights. I don't understand why it was all like that. Why does the government need to? It doesn't need to inherently be like that. Why does it need to make itself out like it's the villain? I just didn't understand that. Right? So, but you see a lot of that stuff, and a lot of people that go down the libertarian kind of route are people that have had a lot of experience with the government. I'm going to have to visit multiple times because I did a really bad job on my my theory test. Do you know what it was? It was the hazard perception bit. Basically, they play you videos, right? And you have to click your mouse when you see a potential hazard. You know, like a car coming to a junction too quickly, or, you know, a pedestrian that looks like they're about to suddenly cross the road, or someone who's trying to restrain their dog from like sprinting off, that kind of thing, right? And you're meant to click. Right, when you see something like that, and the sooner you click, the more higher a score you get, right? But you know, when you're on the computer, right, you accidentally misclick, and what I tend to do, I accidentally right click, my finger slips, you know, and there's no way of accounting for that in this hazard perception test. So I did a really terrible job on my hazard perception test. I got a much lower score than I really ought to have gotten. I'm not saying that this is why I failed the theory test. I would have failed it anyway, right? I'm not using this as an excuse or anything, but it certainly cost me a few points. It could have been the difference between passing it and not passing it. A lot of young men, in my opinion, get dragged. This is Cho Con saying this. A lot of young men get dragged to thinking they are right-wing because most left-wing media kind of makes them feel like they need to, even though they have leftist views as well. Yeah, like, for instance, when I was sort of first getting into politics, right? I came in the YouTube era, right? Why did I fail? I didn't study enough. Like, truth be told, I really didn't study as much as I should have. And I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it actually was. And so I was kind of swaggering into it, not really giving a fuck. And then I sat down and I had to eat some humble pie. It was like, whoa, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, sort of thing. I didn't fail by like a vast thing. I think I got 38 out of 50 and you need 43 to pass. So I'm not terrible. When I went out, there was another, you get a bit of paper that says your score on it. There was another bit, one of those bits of paper in the bin, and it said 28. And I was like, oh, I'm doing all right. Yeah. So I was reading Cho Con's thing. A lot of young men, in my opinion, get dragged to thinking that they are right-wing because most left-wing media kind of makes them feel like they need to, even though they have leftist views as well. Yeah, like when I first got into politics, right, 39, not 30. Yeah, when I first got into politics, I started off, just following what the YouTube algorithm gave me. So YouTube spat out a lot of like Sargon of Akkad, and I liked him because he had a nice voice. He had a professional sounding voice, right? And I'm like 13, 14, something like that, right? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't even know what feminism is. I don't know what any of these concepts are, right? So with this YouTube landscape, unsupervised children are essentially allowed to find the most extreme ideologies out there, right? Get fed to them in a professional, official sounding manner, right? So this guy was getting credence essentially from and legitimacy because he's got a good microphone and his editing seems all right. And it seems like there's a team behind him and he's doing his research and there's sources in the description, that kind of thing. And so I just believed stuff because he talked with authority, right? But as I started to get more political and more politically inclined, I found that it wasn't even that I just disagreed with him. It was that because he would generally talk on social issues, then I would get into economic issues. I sort of realized that I was a lot more left-wing. Not that I knew what left-wing and right-wing really were at this time, but I found myself agreeing with a lot of, in retrospect, socialist kind of rhetoric regarding, housing and pulling homeless people out of poverty and this kind of thing, right? And it was eventually H. Bomber Guy. If it weren't for H. Bomber Guy, I don't know what would have happened, right? But he really saved me. He really saved me. It was really, I ought to do a video about it at some point. But yeah, the reason I'm talking about all this is because I'm 25, right? Born in 1999. And so there's a lot of people of this generation, let's call it early Generation Z, right? Who were raised and had their formative years during like the 2016 era of YouTube, where everything was about being as edgy as possible, where everything was about like, pushing as much racism and sexism out there as you physically can, because it's edgy and it's, cutting edge, it's hardcore, it's not your soft shit, right? So yeah, that's kind of why I feel like it should get talked about, because a lot of people carried on with that sort of thing. And that's why we've gotten to the problem that we've had now, because a lot of those people have grown up in the sense of like they've developed from a teenager into mid-20s to late 20s adult with a job, possibly starting families and all that kind of stuff, right? So, and they actually have more influence over the world around them and they're starting to get into positions of power, right? That's why we're seeing a lot of the issues that we're seeing now, right? I mean, these issues obviously always existed, but I think in such an overt way is what's new about this. Is that like Trump has literally, I think he's gone on record as saying like I could just shoot one of my supporters and I still get voted in. I can't remember the quote. It was something like that. Anyway, I need to have a look at some of these comments. I'm gonna have a look at some of these comments and then I'm gonna turn off, right? Because I've gotten enough ideas for videos. I'm not gonna use the big camera today. I'm gonna use my little camcorder today because I've got some errands to run and I figured I could just do a couple videos in between the errands, right? Because I need to go to a few different like bits of town, right? So I kind of need to do a bigger loop around the town and then come back. So I figured just do some videos along the way there. Yeah. So I'll read a couple comments and then I'll head off. Okay. Mal says, to be honest, a lot of leftists make themselves look really bad. There's a lot of Instagram posts of leftists completely in love with Luigi Mangione and makes them look so psycho. I never cared about him, yet Instagram threads only recommends me Luigi Mangione's extreme stuff. I don't fucking know why. Is your qualm there with Luigi Mangione specifically, or is it with the people around that are making these Instagram posts? Or is it the fact that you're having to see these Instagram posts? I think to break it down to one of those three things will be really important. Is it Luigi Mangione himself that you have the issue with? Is it the Instagram posts you have an issue with? Or is it with the people, with the fact that you're seeing these Instagram posts that you have an issue with? I imagine obviously it's all three to a degree, but which one is most important to you? Fant-fucking-tastic is kind of how I would say it as well, to be fair, but it doesn't spell right. To be honest, I don't know. I'm not good with political theory. I'm not a theory person in anything. I'm not academic in any capacity. If I read Noam Chomsky, the most I would probably get out of it is where he was born, and like I'd recite an anecdote that he said. I wouldn't know anything about his theory, even if I read his books. That's why I've not read like the Communist Manifesto. I'm not interested in reading it, right? Because I'm not saying this to be anti-intellectual, right? I do think it's important for people who are academically inclined to pursue that, but I know myself. I remember sitting there fucking like this, dead-eyed, right? For like 3 years of maths while they taught me simultaneous equations. I don't know what a simultaneous equation is. I've never needed one. I've never needed to look one up. I don't know why they wasted what must have amounted to about 1,000 hours of my life teaching me about them and like other shit in that general field, like advanced mathematics you get taught in year 10 and 11. I'm not that kind of person. So that's why I don't read theory. I'm not a big theory person. I'm more interested in, like, for instance, take communism as an example. I'm not a communist. And whenever I've spoken to communists, I get a bit frustrated because I just want to know, when I go to the corner shop and buy 4 packs of non-alcoholic Heineken Zeros and a bottle of milk, what's going to happen? Do I go up to the counter? Do I just pick it up and walk off? Is it on shelves, or are they in like separate shops than they were before? That's what I care about. Okay. When it gets to like, but then they respond with like theory, and it means nothing to me. They might as well be speaking in tongue. If I use big college words, will I look smarter? Oh, indubitably. So it's, to answer your question, in response to Mal, the Mangione supporters are giving the left a bad rep. So of the 3 options, it was Luigi Mangione, it was the Instagram posts, and the fact that you're having to see the Instagram posts. It's the second of those, that the Instagram posts exist, that is the core of the issue. And obviously the other 2 are surrounding the issue, and they're important too. Actually, here's a question. What do you think of Luigi Mangione? Do you support what he did, or don't? And you think like, they're going too far with it, or do you not support what he did, like flat out? I think that would be kind of interesting. Personally, I support him. No worries, man. No one cares. That doesn't work, does it? Take care, no one cares. I think there's a bit much going on with like Luigi Mangione in terms of like, I don't know. It sometimes can go a bit far, but I support the general idea. Actually, no, I'm not gonna. I think I don't know. I don't know with that one. The easiest way to understand communism is to read dialectical and historical materialism. But then, of course, at that point, you're reading theory. I think what would help me best is if I like moved to Cuba for like a month. In Sin Crisis, in your example, right? It's so similar. It's similar to trying to explain how a race car is so fast to a kid. If you explained how fast a race car was to me as a kid, wouldn't have a clue what you're saying, right? You'd say it, and I'd nod, and then it would just in one ear, out the other, right? It'd be Homer Simpson, fucking mind in there, monkeys, fucking banging rocks, right, while you're explaining it, right? But if you sat me down in a race car and got me going, I would understand it. Like clutch control, for instance. I've been doing like driving lessons and stuff lately, right? I could not explain to you how clutch control works. I don't know what it is, right? I don't get it, right? But I know how to use it. I'm obviously not the best, and I'll get better at it the more that I do it. But when he was explaining it to me, in one ear, out the other, I was terrified, right? I was like, I'm never going to know how to drive. But then I just started driving. So for me, do you get what I mean? I don't know what that is. It's just doing stuff. Yeah, me too. I agree with you, Ahmed. I imagine Luigi from him. But the thing is, I saw an Instagram post or a Facebook post or something that was it was Luigi Mangione support, but it just had Luigi's face and like he was holding a Molotov, and I kind of liked that for the, it's kind of fucking with Nintendo's trademark and the image of their brand and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, yeah, kind of big fuck you to a big corporation. I liked that. I mean, I support the message, but the way Luigi supporters act only contributes to. I do think some of these Instagram posts can be kind of cringy and like a bit lame, but I wouldn't share them. I don't mind seeing them; they don't annoy me, but I find them kind of fun. I agree with them. I just don't think I would share them or like them or make them myself. But I'm glad that someone else is doing it, because then I don't have to, basically. The reason you can understand, we're going back to the race car thing now. The reason you can understand a bit about the race car without technical terms now is because you're educated, have learned questions and other things about the world, and can synthesize that knowledge. But with that, I'm not sure what it would be, like acceleration, right? I understand acceleration in the sense that, right, let's try this. I'm going to do something a bit lighter. There we are. That's not fully acceleration, but like imagine, because I can't get something self-propelled, but it starts slow and it gets faster because you're adding power to a stationary thing. So, right, and because it's already going and you're still adding the same amount of power, it's not exponentially making it go faster. But you see what I mean? I can't explain this stuff in that way. I'm not theory. That's, for me, is a full understanding of it, and I know what I meant by that. You might not. God fuck knows how I've made 300 videos of me talking, right? But that's what I mean with regards to theory things and academia. Obviously, I'm very for academia, right? I don't intend for this to sound like anti-intellectualism and that kind of thing, right? And I don't consider myself a stupid person. I just don't think that, for me personally, theory and learning how something works is more useful than learning how to use it, right? Like once I get this driving license, right, I probably won't know how a car works. I'll probably never learn how a car works. I'll just know how to drive one. Limited space and brain is for dribble. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know, because like, for instance, I know people that are really good at memorizing song lyrics, right? And they have loads of song lyrics in their head. I'm not very good at that kind of thing. I can gimme a man after midnight. Don't you want to something away? I've got that one. Think Crisis video says, in simple terms, the material world exists before your consciousness. Your conscious experience is created by the material world, and also your consciousness has the ability to change the material. So the material world exists before you're conscious. Is that as in, like, I look at a tree, right? The tree is there before my perception of seeing the tree, right? Because I see the tree, and the tree is an object that has always been there, right? But I only see from my brain, right? You know that, like, kind of lame idea that, like, you're the only real person and everyone else is kind of a robot. You're the only real conscious. The only, like, there is no way of proving that everyone else has conscious, right? The same way that there's no, like, right now we don't know that aliens exist. But it's very, 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 very likely that they do. Right? I'd be very surprised if it turned out aliens didn't exist. And similarly, I would be very surprised to find out I'm the only one with conscious and that everyone else is just some kind of, like, non-conscious being that is replicating the idea of consciousness to such an accurate degree that it's unrecognizable to me. Right? So I would be extremely surprised. There's like a 0.1% chance of that happening. Right? But it's kind of coming back to that perception thing. I can only perceive from my perception. I can't perceive from anything else. I can't see through your eyes, for instance, right? So if I see this tree and I can't see from the life of the tree, I only see the tree as it's there, right? That I can't finish that point properly. What about the tree's perspective? And also, why does it have to be seeing the tree? You can also feel it. I just mean perceiving it in general. See, touch it, listen to the wind of the, hitting the leaves, that kind of thing. Smell the fresh spring smell. You know what I mean? All of this sort of stuff. All the things that make up a tree. Right. So I see this tree, and that tree, the existence of that tree comes in terms of, I guess, importance or I guess order chronologically, comes before me seeing it. So the tree exists. Then me sees the tree, and that's the key, right? To what the fuck were we even talking about? Oh yeah, in simple terms, the material world exists before your consciousness. Your conscious experience is created by the material world. So, aka, I see this tree, right? I smell the fresh spring smell. I touch its trunk. Maybe I climb it, right? My conscious experience is created by the material world, aka, I've had an experience with this tree, even if it was literally just I passed the tree on my way to work, right? So my consciousness has been altered by the material world because the material world is there, and your conscious is like a layer of cream atop it. But also your conscious has the ability to change the material, right? So he's giving you a lot to think about here, Syncrisis videos. He's giving you a lot to think about here. And what's the first thought that's coming to my head is, to what end? What does all of this and knowing this achieve? Because is it just the fact that we can concretify it that it's useful to understand to help sort of humble ourselves? Or is there some kind of practical purpose for this? Never heard a tree say, hey, get off my roots. I forgot to ask if you're going to be sharing more drawings like your profile. Well, my girlfriend did the profile picture, so I can't really do more of them because I'm not that good at drawing. I can do a stick figure. I probably will go back to another picture at some point, but I don't know if there'll be drawings. Yeah. Consciousness is material. certain atoms and molecules, and all of those little bits come together to make you, and also your consciousness. See, I understand that in the sense that my brain, like all of yours brains, is comprised of material things that are, what's the word, unconscious, basically dead material. Like the same way a rock is made of atoms, we're made of atoms, right? But at a certain point, that goes from, let's call it dead material, or building block, foundational material of these atoms becoming the molecules that at some point become the neuron transmitters that transmit thoughts between our brain, whether subconscious or conscious. And those conscious thoughts have an impact on my, body, right? So for instance, I think I move my arm, right? I'm moving my arm right now. Now it's a conscious decision. But when I sort of talk and I move my arms around, that's an unconscious thing. But at the same time, both of those are caused by the neuron transmitters that are foundationally made of atoms, right? The same as a rock is made of atoms. So we are the same as our material world, but the decisions that are made inside of the brain from all of that I just said have an impact on the material world around us. Am I getting to what you're getting at, Syncrisis? Are we on the same page with that? Or am I just spouting shit? Because I might be. I probably am. Yeah, it's a really good picture, that profile picture. I really like it. I still got it. I've got the original here. This is the original. Fucking sick, isn't it? I love this. Yeah. It's good, that. Me and my girlfriend have been together for 6 months now. So, yay. Yeah, she's pretty great. All right, I think I'm going to close it out there. A nice little happy note. So, yeah, thank you all very much for watching this stream. I feel like this has been the best stream yet. I feel like audio quality is up, right? I'm not just talking shit on the phone, right? Next, I need to figure out video, right? And not just look like this, right? Because this is a bit shite, right? I'd love to do them out and about. Probably won't bother. Probably they'll stay in here. But I'd like to have a nicer camera or something. But just find a way of connecting it to a laptop or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe do stuff on the computer. Maybe we could do editing live streams or some shit. If I can figure out how to do that. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a webcam, put it on up here on the desktop, because this is leaning on my computer. And yeah, that's going to be all from me. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've gotten something out of it and all that. I'm just going to read some of the comments. You're more communist than you realize. I follow your channel as a communist because I find great insight. I wouldn't call myself a communist. I do think, though, that communism is likely to be the next stage in human development. The way that we went from feudalism to capitalism, right? I think the same will happen from capitalism to some form of communism, and it probably won't look the same as Marxist communism or any of the various offshoots of communism that we've had so far. It'll be something new and grounded around the world that will come from the future, because it'll be very likely a very technological world, very different from what we know. Obviously, it won't be completely like foreign. Like, say if you took someone from the 1800s and plonked them in 2020, like there's still roads, there's still buildings, like the base stuff is there. There's just all this weird shit. It's like you play Minecraft and then you switch to playing like Tekkit, right? Tekkit Minecraft with all the extra shit. It'd be like that, right? And it's all confusing. But yeah, I do think that give it 800, 900 years or something like that, that communism will probably be the current model. But then I don't think that communism is the ultimate form of, human civilization or an economic model. I think there's probably not an ideal ultimate model. But we'll get to communism, which will be better than what we have now. and then we'll move on to something that'll be better than communism. That's my theory on it, anyway. Will there ever be Johnny Mozza gaming? Probably not. Last game I played, my mate got me an Xbox 360 because he was going to get rid of it, and so he came over and we played a few video games on that. We played Borderlands, which has this fucking annoying robot in it. And we stopped playing it because there's a point in the intro where it says, "Oh, yeah, you need to. This robot is dying. Can you heal it?" Right. So what it says is, "You need to heal this robot." And I thought, "Fuck off! I'm not healing this robot. This robot's so annoying." I just sat there smacking it, and eventually it wouldn't let me. I had to heal it, so I just stopped playing. The last video game I properly played was Mass Effect 3 in 2023, so about 2 years ago now. Over 2 years ago now. But my TV broke. I used to have a TV. It would have been in this frame, actually. It would have been around there-ish. I had a TV. And yeah, it broke. Right as I was 2 levels away from the fucking end. I was 2 levels away. Right? I was so angry. Right? Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised that I know what tech it is, to be honest. I preferred Technic. Technic was a bit better. Thinking of ideas on how to end a live video. I just like going through all of the comments. Because I like what you guys say. This is why I've been enjoying the live stream thing. And I do wonder if at some point the core of this channel will eventually gradually switch over to live streams. I don't want to become a streamer in that sort of way. I want to still make stuff, maybe stuff like bigger projects and similar, like Johnny Mozza type things. But streaming is a good way of just getting thoughts out there, having a back and forth. It's quite. I've been enjoying it, right? I'm just scrolling through a few now. Yeah. You, sir, you're very close. Picasso washes his own dishes. Is that an intellectual way of saving carve your initials into a tree? It most certainly is. Do you have Twitter, by the way? I don't. I have an old one because I had an old channel called Morrison Productions, and that had a Twitter. My old band Westby's Motherhood has a Twitter, but it's got like 2 tweets on it. And Johnny Mozza doesn't have a Twitter. I think it has a Blue Sky. I'm not sure. I set up a load of things, and then there's this app called Metrical, which like chucks social media posts out en masse. So I tried that, and I think I set up like every social media, right, as all of them. I think I did it apart from Twitter, because yeah, Twitter's shit, and Twitter's always been shit, right? It's always been the worst one. It's just now it's owned by a Nazi, right? So it just makes it even worse. But even if Elon Musk wasn't a Nazi, it'd still be shit. And I am about to finish now. You can probably leave if you want. There's probably not going to be anything else after this. Just enjoying reading these. I think a light capitalism would be ideal. The issue is the lure of gain and an economy that would be more around barter when we can. Ultra capitalism is such a barrier. I do feel like yeah. I also feel like the black market would come about in many forms of anti-capitalist ideologies, because at the end of the day, we all kind of want to trade things, make things, and shift them on. Like, I went on the debate communism subreddit once, and I basically said, I have a small videography business, right? Would I still be able to have that? And they said, if you hire other people, you can't. I was like, oh, well, fuck that then. I actually have no idea. Honestly, whenever I've only been on Twitter, and this will be the last thing I say for real, it's weird that Twitter often has better art than art-dedicated sites. When I go on Twitter, it's literally just like full Nazi shit. But I think my stuff is valuable. I do think my stuff is valuable. I think the videos that I make have value. They've brought people joy. They brought and especially some of the mental health ones have helped people. I know that for a fact because people have reached out and told me so. People have donated to various streams and subscribed on Patreon and all this shit. So people clearly provide a value to what I do. So I do think my stuff is valuable, and I do think that there is some level of value, not just necessarily financial value, as you're on that same level. There's also emotional value, but I think there's a good opportunity for both. I do think that. I think the main issue is that there's just people don't have any disposable income. If we had disposable income and money was essentially like fun tokens that you could put on the things that you enjoy the most, that would be a much better system. So all your needs and essentials are covered by, let's call it socialism for now. It's all covered by that. And then all of your joys in life and all your little wants are covered by, let's call it capitalism. Right? I think that would be the ideal, where I get a various amount of tokens depending on what I do and that kind of thing, and I can spend them on essentially whatever I want, and I don't have to spend it all on rent and all this sort of stuff. So say I find value in these videos, I could give money to this guy. If I find value in my favorite band, give some money to them, etc., etc. Right? It took me so long to filter my Twitter feed. I filtered, I've tried doing that. It doesn't work for me. But I also get suckered into debate on the internet, so that's my problem. Anyway, I'm done now because I need to go. I've got shit to do. So take care, everybody. Bye bye. Love you all. You're all fantastic. I don't.